Welcome to today's deep dive. Okay, let's unpack this. Today we are looking at a stack of investigative reporting on a specific Kern County Superior Court case.
Right, it's Dora Ortiz versus Walmart Stores, Inc.
Exactly. And on the surface, if you just glance at the title, it looks like a completely standard civil lawsuit.
Completely standard, yeah.
But our mission for you today is to show how this totally routine case accidentally exposed a bizarre, almost unbelievable world of legal loopholes, hidden shadow dockets, and, well, potential institutional self-dealing.
So the initial facts of how this all started are, they're remarkably simple, yet completely chaotic.
Oh, absolutely chaotic.
Yeah, so the plaintiff's first attorney, a man named Lawrence Moy, effectively abandoned the case.
Right.
He didn't show up to hearings, ignored court sanctions, and naturally, the court dismissed the lawsuit. But then, the case was mysteriously resurrected.
Wait, how does a case just come back from the dead like that? I mean, don't courts have rules against exactly that kind of thing?
They absolutely do. California law has a strict 6-month deadline to reverse a dismissal like this. It's known as a CCP 473B motion.
That's basically the legal code that allows you to undo a procedural mistake, right?
Right, exactly. But in this case, that 6-month deadline had completely expired. Yet a brand new attorney steps in, files the paperwork way too late, and inexplicably the court just grants it and reopens the case anyway.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because this new attorney, Norman Gregory Fernandez, is quite the wild card.
He really is.
Yeah, if you look at his official profile in the reports, he boasts this perfect 10 out of 10 rating and claims to be a top civil trial lawyer. But the investigation highlights some severe contradictions.
Major contradictions. Former clients filed allegations calling him a con artist who does zero actual work.
They accused him of filing fake court documents, stealing case paperwork, and even harassing them by sending invoices to their phones at 4 a.m.
Right. And yet, this is the exact guy who manages to pull a legally dead case back from the grave when no one else could.
Because nothing says top-tier legal representation quite like a 4 a.m. text bill, right? It just sounds wild. So how on earth did he actually manage to get the court to accept an expired motion?
What's fascinating here is the precise mechanical failure that allowed it to happen, which brings us to the core anomaly of this investigation. The Czech Probate Directive.
The Czech Probate Directive.
Yeah, fast forward a bit in the timeline, and a docket entry for this standard civil lawsuit inexplicably tells the parties to contact the probate division for their tentative rulings.
Hold on, probate. I thought probate courts strictly handled things like wills and estates and conservatorships. They have absolutely zero business handling a corporate slip-and-fall lawsuit against Walmart.
Precisely. Specifically, this was routed to Division P, overseen by Judge Elisa R. Knight.
Who you might actually recognize from the news as the judge who handled the highly publicized remains of Charles Manson.
Right, exactly. There was a complete lack of departmental segregation here.
Wait, I need to stop you there. Are you saying the court purposefully hid this case, or was this just some administrative typo that spiraled totally out of control?
It functions as a systemic failure, either way. Think of the court system like a giant sorting facility. The General Civil Court is the main conveyor belt out in the open, fully transparent. Probate is a locked-back room for highly specialized matters.
So by routing a standard civil motion into that specialized probate department, the court effectively created a shadow docket.
Exactly. It removed the case from the transparent civil calendar, creating a secluded environment where fatal procedural errors like granting a motion well after a strict legal deadline could just quietly disappear.
So if all these massive procedural errors are happening in the locked back room, where is Walmart in all this? Did they just not notice what was going on?
Oh, they definitely noticed. Walmart played a ruthless wait-and-see legal strategy. They fully knew the plaintiff's lawyers were making fatal errors, and they knew that revival motion was filed too late. But instead of fighting it immediately, they just sat back.
Wow, so they just let the clock run out while the court tripped over its own feet.
They let the court make its administrative blunder in this probate shadow docket. Then, months later, they dropped a meticulously documented motion to force the court to realize its own jurisdictional error.
It resulted in a final, undeniable dismissal.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is why this deep dive matters so much to you. It proves that knowing the obscure administrative plumbing of a system is sometimes far more powerful than knowing the actual rules.
That makes total sense, because Walmart possessed the institutional resources to navigate and exploit those administrative crossovers.
Exactly. It perfectly demonstrates how procedural biases inherently favor high-resource corporations who can afford to play the long game. They can afford to watch a court make a mistake and use it to their advantage.
So what does this all mean? The investigative report concludes that this single civil case represents a spectacular triple failure.
A huge failure, yeah.
You have a failure of initial representation by the first lawyer who abandoned ship, a failure of professional ethics by the second wildcard lawyer, and a massive failure of administrative transparency by the Judicial Council of California, who allowed this bizarre departmental crossover to happen in the first place. What stands out to you in this administrative maze?
And this raises an important question to leave you with. If a modern court system can quietly bury a routine civil lawsuit in a probate docket to avoid public scrutiny and cover up clerical errors, how many other everyday cases are currently trapped in the shadow dockets of our justice system right now, completely unnoticed?